What's up? Today we're going to go just through a little small hip focused mobility, we'll call it a circuit. Okay, it shouldn't take very long, 5 or 10 minutes here. All we need is, I have a bench here to prop my foot on from a sideline position. If you're at the house, you can have your couch or something. My legs are going to be stacked on top of each other in that moment, so I'm going to need a yoga block or a pillow or something to even out my hips when they're stacked on top of each other. So again, I have a yoga block, it could be a pillow or something like that. So we're gonna get into, every time we do the mobility, we treat it just like a strength exercise. So if we were doing squats, because we're working on legs, we're gonna warm up and then do the exercise. So when we do our mobility, it is going to be a warm up and then our mobility exercise. We're focused on the hips, so we're gonna warm up with our hips in a hip car. We're gonna go 4 on each side. I'm gonna come into a quadruped position that puts some pressure on your wrists. So if you don't like to be in a quadruped position, you can stand up and do them normally. Okay, but I'm gonna get in a quadruped. I'm gonna start on the left side here. My back's nice and flat. My shoulders are stacked on top of my wrists, and my hips are stacked right on top of my knees. Okay, I'm gonna bend that knee or flex that knee, drive my heel to my butt. Back stays flat as I bring my heel or my knee up into flexion. Full range out into abduction as I bring it heel to the sky and drop it down. That's halfway, keeping that knee bent, flexed, engage that hamstring, kick that heel up to the sky, out and around, internally rotate while I try to bring that knee up to your elbow and down. That's 1. Heel, knee up, out to the side, heel up and down. Kind of keep that tension the whole time. Squeeze that hip, squeeze that left glute. Down. I'm going to reset my tension with my arms. My back's nice and flat. I don't want to concave down. We're on rep 3 here. Down. Keep that knee bent, hamstring engaged, heel to the sky internally while we rotate, while we bring to my knee to my elbow. Last one. Trying to stay flat. I don't want to see you opening up here. Make sure we're just getting this movement from the hip. Good. Down. Other side. I can flip around here probably, so you can really see what's happening here. Okay, locking those arms out, flexing that knee, engage the hamstring, bring your knee to your chest, outside, rotate, wrap around, bring it down, keep that hamstring engaged, heel to the sky, wrap it around, internally rotate while you bring your knee to your elbow, and down. That's 1. Around. Keep that tension the whole time. 2, I'm gonna reset my hands. Around, trying to make the biggest circle you can. Nice and controlled. Good. Last one. Good. Okay, so now we should be pretty warmed up with our hips. If we're doing any other kind of, keeping it really basic with our exercises today, so if we're doing something a little bit more intensive, 90-90, we'd want to warm up other joints as well, but keeping it very basic today, okay? So working on the hips in the warm-up, we're going to work on external rotation and internal rotation. Those are the most basic principles of movement in the hip, because even if I bring my hip straight up into flexion, we can't see it, but there's a little piece of rotation coming in there. So we really want to work on rotation, because even if I'm doing something linear like just sticking my leg out to the side here, there would be a rotation piece that we just can't see in there. So we want to train rotation first and then go from there. So that being said, the foundational piece, internal and external rotation. We're going to do external first. So sideline position, making sure we're really strong here. Don't want to see your oblique sagging at all. So we're driving up into here, making sure our elbows underneath us. Lock this leg down, stiff, straight, a lot of pressure down here. This leg here, all we're doing is working on internal rotation or external rotation and coming back down for 10. Okay, so locking this out here, lots of stiff rigidity here, and rotate 1. So we're gonna feel it on the inner thigh, maybe a little back in the hip. We're using a lot of this right here to pull me up for 10. 3, 4. We don't want to see any shifting of the shin, because that would be knee. We're just coming up. sure how many that is. We'll give 2 more. Good. Okay. Same thing, other side. Underneath me. Don't want to drop down here. Pull up nice and tight. Stack. A lot of pressure here. Again, anytime we're doing the mobility stuff, exercises, we really want to make sure we have good tension in our body. And rotate. 1. Notice the difference. It might be easier, might be harder, might feel it less, might feel it more. But again, I don't want to see this shin shifting because that's my knee. When we're doing this, we just want to feel it in the hip. Back here and rotating on the thigh. Make sure we're stacked on top of each other. You got a lot of pressure here. As I rotate, that was better. I was probably opened up a little too much there. 2 more. Last one. Good. Okay. Whew. 1 set of external rotation. Let's set up internal now. Okay, we're gonna be on the sideline position. This time, grabbing that pillow in between our knees so that we're not sagging down. They're neutral. This top foot is gonna go on top of my bench here. Hands down here, kind of giving myself a little comfortable spot to lay down in. Now we just worked external, so now it's about internal. I'm rotating this thigh in to get my ankle to come off of the bench without anything moving. This one we are gonna feel a lot more in this back hip, and we're going for 10. So we'll call that 3. You might cramp a little bit. That's just from the muscle getting more communication than it's used to and it's spazzing out. Try to just breathe through it if you can. Come out of the stretch if you need to. We'll call that 8. Ooh. Starting to cramp up a little bit on this side. Switch when you get to 10. So our angle here should be about 90 and 90. Okay, we don't want to be too open here. Don't want to be too closed off. So about 90-degree angle. Each side, creating that tension. Squeeze those yoga blocks down and then rotate up. 1. Good. All right. So that should give you a little understanding of which side's tighter, what side maybe cramped a little bit more from external, internal rotation, which side is harder. And now that was 1 set, so I want you to go back and do a second one of whichever felt a little bit tougher for you, okay? Honestly, I think I might need to do both.